All right, welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and I know Eagles fans are down and out, but coming up on the docket for today's show, we're going to preview this wild card matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The stage is set. First round of the NFL playoffs here in the NFC Playoff bracket. Philadelphia going to hit the road after this historic collapse, losing 5 of their last 6 games here in the 2023 regular season. The Birds going to be playing at Raymond James Stadium. Philadelphia's 2.5-point favorites, and to me, I look at that line, and I don't think the odds makers had a lot of confidence in this game, especially with Philadelphia being a favorite, an 11-win team with the line being that low. And you also look at the over-under, pretty low there as well at 44.5. This game going to take place Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we're going to be doing a watch party for this matchup, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And when you look at the NFL playoffs and you think about the Birds playing in the big dance, usually we're thrilled with a scenario like this, about a potential playoff run, especially coming off the heels of Philadelphia making it to Super Bowl 57 last year, a game that frankly they should have won if they didn't choke in that second half. But there's a dark cloud hovering over this team right now, and the vibes are so low. This has been a historic collapse for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's why a lot of fans don't have a lot of confidence in this football team. The Birds have lost 5 of their last 6 games to end the regular season. They're the first team in the history of the National Football League to start 10-1, but then not win 12 games in a regular season. The offense right now, overseen by Nick Sirianni, because this is his offense. A lot of people lose sight of that because Brian Johnson is the play caller, has no answers. It's a mess. And this defense for Philadelphia, which was a really good unit last year, has been historically bad. And the real question, you look at how the Eagles have played with their level of effort, with their focus on details, and how they've really let this golden opportunity slip away, you have to pose this question. Have the players given up on head coach Nick Sirianni, and is his message not getting through to this team right now? What's also bad about this team is that they're banged up going into the playoffs. And let's begin on the injury front with quarterback Jalen Hurts, who also over the last month and a half hasn't played up to his standard. After that Buffalo Bills epic comeback in which Philadelphia won in overtime, he was the odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP. But like this entire team, the story from then until now has just changed so much. And when you watch this Eagles team, they don't even look like the same squad. For Jalen Hurts, underwent an MRI on his right middle finger after dislocating that finger on his throwing hand yesterday in that awful loss against the New York Giants. And according to reports, the MRI showed no fracture. And he even said after the game he's going to take it day by day. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play in this game against Tampa Bay, but him and this Eagles offense have to make a lot of adjustments against a team that is very, very aggressive, as we're about to get to with our preview. And let's go to Jalen Hurts' number one weapon. The result of that game against the New York Giants was awful. The Eagles didn't come to play. They didn't display a lot of effort. The offense and defense was once again horrendous, and Jalen Hurts got hurt. A.J. Brown got injured. Sidney Brown with that torn ACL. So we shift from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. The Eagles are awaiting MRI results on his knee. Here's the good news. It looks as though the Eagles have averted disaster. It's not believed to be serious. He wasn't on crutches or limping after the game. And everything that I've kind of gathered and talking to some people is that his vibes were pretty good despite the result of that football game. And he was telling some of his teammates that he was feeling a lot better, but right away kind of took your breath away a little bit. And your stomach hurt looking at A.J. Brown on the field. We know about the history with that surface at MetLife Stadium. It's probably the worst surface in the National Football League, and he looked to be in a lot of pain. But the good news is it looks as though he didn't suffer a serious knee injury, and he could play in this wild card matchup against Tampa Bay. This is what we do know about Philadelphia. We don't know if they're going to be able to get it together, and everything we've seen over the last month and a half, the signs show that a team that's reeling going into the playoffs isn't going to be able to catch fire. But we do know this, that the Philadelphia Eagles need Jalen Hurts A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith healthy, and they need them playing well to have any hopes of making a deep playoff run. It's a mess right now, but here's the good news with Philadelphia as we try to take a glass-half-full approach. They still have elite players on this roster. As for the aforementioned Sidney Brown, let's get to his injury here. Believed to have suffered a torn ACL in that loss against the New York Giants. I'm not even sure when that injury happened. We were live for our watch party yesterday, and I didn't see Sidney Brown go out, and then we're doing our post-game show yesterday, and we saw the reports from Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network that Brown is most likely lost for the rest of the season. And Philadelphia is already so thin at safety. There's been a revolving door in that secondary with the plethora of injuries that have happened at that position group, both at cornerback as well as that safety position. And now they're dealing with yet another injury. And this is pretty unfortunate because Sidney Brown has played pretty good football this year. You took him in the third round of the 2023 NFL Draft out of Illinois. This is a player that I like the future of because of his instinctual style and his versatility. He can play in the box, he can play in the slot, play a little hybrid linebacker, and his coverage grade, according to Pro Football Focus, was also pretty good this year. Has a bright future, and now he's not going to have that opportunity to get some playoff experience that's really valuable under his belt. So with that, I ask you this. Are the vibes really that low for all Eagles fans out there? Get those game predictions in. During our post-game show, I was not confident, and I'm still not confident. In fact, I might be less confident in this team after some film study last night because they don't seem to have any answers offensively or defensively. Who you got? Type PHI or type TB down in the comment section right now. We're only getting started with our wild card preview between Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. But first, let's get to our sponsor for today's show. It is Factor Meals. What a deal we have to offer. Use the code EaglesChat50 for 50% off and get started on your resolutions with Factor so that you're ready for 2024. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and it sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered straight to your door. And with over 35 meals to choose from every week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus, veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. As I've said over the last couple of days, we're down in Houston for the College Football National Championship between Michigan and Washington. I'm rocking the shirt right here. We're on Audio Avenue here at the Media Hotel. My running streak has continued as I try to overtake my previous running streak of 300 days, and we're on the move grinding down here in Houston. I got to be able to fuel up with healthy meals, and I'm able to do that with Factor, and they're great on the run. Ready-to-eat meal delivery service, everything delivered straight to your door, and all you have to do, put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes, you're ready to rock. So one more time, you see that link down below me, factormeals.com/EaglesChat50. We care about you and your health, so we're going to put that link down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. Now let's round out our preview with my keys to the game. And key number one, it's going to be Jalen Hurts against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, specifically the Buccaneers blitzing unit. Todd Bowles is always known to be a very aggressive defensive coordinator, and I like Todd Bowles, Temple University guy. I went to Temple as well in 2015, but I'm hoping that Philadelphia is going to be able to find gaps in that Buccaneers defense, but they're going to have to be better against the blitz, and Jalen Hurts is going to have to be better against the blitz. This comes down to recognition at the line of scrimmage. This comes down to him having a better pocket feel and pocket mobility and not bailing out of the pocket quickly. You see the numbers down below me. Hurts against the blitz this year has not performed well at all. This is a Jalen Hurts problem. It's also an Eagles offensive scheme problem. Hurts is only completing 60.5% of his throws against the blitz this year for a little more than 1,300 yards, only 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He's also thrown 3 dropped interceptions, so that number very easily could be 6 touchdowns and 11 INTs. INTs, has a rating of just 74.1. That's 28th among quarterbacks in the National Football League. And why are we talking about those digits? Because this Buccaneers defense has the third highest blitz rate in the National Football League. We've seen teams, as the Eagles have really free-falled here over the last 6 weeks, send the house at Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team. And what's so infuriating is that Hurts continues to struggle against the blitz, but the Eagles' offensive scheme and the offensive coaching staff have no answers for Hurts to be better against the blitz, and they're not putting him in a position to succeed. Chase, what are you talking about? This is what I mean. The Eagles' offense has no answers against the blitz because there's no hot, there's no check down, there's no safety valve. Instead, wide receivers are running downfield. They're not even looking back at the football, and they're long routes downfield as they try to get vertical. And by that time, Hurts is already getting beatered and battered in the pocket. Key to the game number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles defense cooked. All year they've been pretty bad, and it looks as though with what we've seen from this unit over the last couple of weeks, this was not a Sean Desai problem. In fact, Matt Patricia's defense has been even worse. And what a massive drop-off for this unit from 2022 carrying over to 2023. You look at the numbers here on your screen to the left. Last year, defensive numbers, the Eagles were number 1 in the NFL in sacks with 70, number 1 in tackles for loss at 97, number 2 in quarterback hits with 124. They were 3rd with 17 interceptions, and points allowed 8th in the NFL, 344 points allowed during the regular season. And then you look at the numbers in 2023, it makes you want to throw up, and it makes you sick. 43 sacks, that's 20th in the league, down from 70. Tackles for loss down from 97 to 73. That's 27th in the league. Quarterback hits, they're simply not getting to the quarterback at the same rate. And this is while Derek Barnett is balling out with the Houston Texans. They only have 106 quarterback hits this year. That's smack dab in the middle among 32 teams in the NFL. They only have 9 picks, so they're turning it over a lot offensively, and they're not forcing turnovers defensively. That's a recipe for disaster. And then you look at the points allowed. 428, number 30th in the NFL. The only team that is worse, the Washington Commanders, and then another team in the NFL. And the real question here, has Nick Sirianni been carried by his coordinators? You know, Shane Steichen goes to the Indianapolis Colts, and that's probably a bottom 5 roster. They lost Anthony Richardson earlier this year. Gardner Minshew steps in, yet in Week 17 against the Houston Texans, both of those teams are playing a do-or-die, win-and-you're-in scenario to get into the playoffs, and Shane Steichen did a great job with Indianapolis. And what's really telling to me, he started to utilize pre-snap motion, whereas the Philadelphia Eagles are 32nd in pre-snap motion. So that goes to show you that is a Nick Sirianni philosophical problem. And then Jonathan Gannon has done a really good job, also with a bad roster, with the Arizona Cardinals. Key to the game number 3, this Eagles secondary, given the weaponry of this Buccaneers offense, will be tested. And this is an Eagles secondary that has also had no answers and no solutions to any of their problems. I know that the Buccaneers won the worst division in the National Football League, the NFC South, but Baker Mayfield started to turn a corner over the last month and change. And you look at his numbers this year, still threw for over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks, only completed 64% of his passes coming out of Oklahoma. He was looked at as a very accurate quarterback, hasn't really resulted or translated to the NFL level, but this is the best that he's played really since that season in which he led the Cleveland Browns to their first playoff win since Bill Belichick was their head coach in the early 90s. And he has some really good weapons to throw to. Mike Evans has been in the league for a minute now, and every year that he's been in the NFL, he's had more than 1,000 receiving yards, and this year, another really good campaign, and he's off to another Pro Bowl. 79 catches, more than 1,200 yards, and then his receiving mate, a lot of you very familiar with him, living in Pennsylvania, Chris Godwin, the former Penn Stater, who also surpassed 1,000 yards receiving. So this is a Buccaneers offense that hadn't done a great job in running the football, but they've been better in that area of late. And their offense has turned a corner in passing the football too, led by Baker Mayfield, but also there's really good weapons in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And who on this Eagles team is going to be able to defend them. You do get Darius Slay back, most likely coming off that knee injury, but this could spell disaster and a first-round exit for this Eagles team. With that, I also ask you this. I want to gauge where the fan base is at here. Your confidence level in this Eagles team. Scale it for me from 1 to 100. Key to the game number 4, offensive line communication. Last year, Eagles had the best offensive line in the NFL. From left to right, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, Isaac Seumalo, who's been playing good ball with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Lane Johnson. Every member of that offensive line was either an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler, or a Pro Bowl alternate. Not only has this Eagles offensive line not played up to their level that they had last year, but their offensive line communication has been so bad, and this is both against with the running game, and this is with the pass game. And we know, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, this Buccaneers defense is very aggressive. And when this Eagles team, especially during this skid, having lost 5 of their last 6 games, when they drop back in pass protection, the communication is really bad. And then against the run, with some of these pull blocks, there was a moment during yesterday's game where Landon Dickerson moved from his left to his right on a pull block, and this Eagles offensive scheme had Jack Stoll having to pass block against Kayvon Thibodeau. That's bad communication right there, and that's setting your players up for failure. The Buccaneers can rush the passer. They're also very stout against the run, as Haloti Ngata has been really, really good, obviously, against that ground game throughout his entire career because he's a load, and I'll throw a word out there that a lot of people like. He's girthy. Lastly, key to the game number 5, Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to play a clean game. And as they've really struggled here, especially on the offensive side of the rock, they have turned the football over a lot. They have been late to get their play calls in. Their substitution patterns have been a disaster, and they've been penalized a lot. And all of that is really a recipe for disaster, and they keep telling us, we're going to get it fixed. We have confidence in the players in this locker room to get it fixed. We have to be able to execute. I'm tired of hearing all that. What the Eagles have to do is they have to go out there and they actually have to do it because over the last month and a half, they haven't been able to do that. Before we hop on out of here, please make sure you subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Yours truly, Chase Sr., bringing you coverage of this team, win or lose, every single day, year-round, right here on YouTube. And if you're going to join us for our Eagles Tampa Bay watch party on Monday Night Football, I want you to type Real One. That's our Real One roll call. I'm trying to inspire hope and confidence in this fan base, but it's hard to do because I'm down and out about this football team as well.